Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the thought of learning to code? Trust me, you're not alone. I remember the time when I first started learning to code. It felt like being handed a bunch of kitchen utensils and ingredients and asked to whip up a gourmet meal without a recipe. I took many courses, read a ton of tutorials, and visited many forums, just to try to get it all to hopefully make some sense. This left me feeling very lost as I tried to figure out how they all fit together. It was hard, frustrating, and honestly, a bit overwhelming. I hated it, and I even convinced myself that I'm not meant to be a coder and actually stopped trying to learn it. After a while, I decided to give it another go. This time, I promised myself that I wouldn't give up. I kept at it, learning from different sources over the internet, trying to piece together the snippets of information. It felt like I was trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle without having the picture on the box and many pieces missing. After months of trial and error, sifting through hundreds of videos, written tutorials, and forums, I finally started to understand how it all fits together. But it wasn't without a lot of unpleasant confusion and frustration along the way. I asked myself, does it really have to be this difficult? Am I dumb, not clever enough to be a coder? The answer is definitely no, and that applies to you too. Then I had a light bulb moment, a glorious epiphany as I realized why this was happening. It was for two very important reasons. All the courses that I watched showed me how to create something like a Python variable in pretty much the same way. They would type it out in their code editor and say, this is a variable and this is how it looks. I would then mimic them and type what they did in my editor. But honestly, I didn't really understand what I was typing or why. You see, the problem with watching someone else code, telling you to do this without explaining why you are doing it, is better known as Parrot Learning. Parrot Learning, also known as rote learning, is most often used in school education systems and has been proven to be one of the worst ways to learn. A study found that people forget an average of 50 to 80% of what they've learned through this method within 48 hours, thereby only retaining 20% of the information. This is exactly what happened to me. Many times after having watched the Python video, I would try to create my own code the next morning, only to realize that I totally cannot remember how to create it. Questions such as, are the quotation marks supposed to come before or after the equal sign, or where do I put parenthesis again, quickly gave me a reality check, as it showed me that I actually had no idea how to create a variable, even though I had just watched how to do it less than 24 hours ago. Why was I not remembering something that I found so easy yesterday? Well, because yesterday I was simply copy-pasting from their video and not actually learning. The reason for this is how most people's brain works. We as humans are visual creatures, and our brain's memories work in the same way. This is called visual memory association learning. This method involves associating images with the information to be learned. Our brains are remarkably good at remembering visual details. In fact, research has suggested that people can remember thousands of images with surprising accuracy, even only seeing them once. One study found that subjects could recall 70% of images shown in a single presentation. That's a whole lot more than 20%. The second thing that I realized was that even though these other instructors showed me what to type into a code editor in order to create a variable, they never explained the why. Why am I writing it like this, and why does it work like this are questions that always floated around in the back of my mind. I convinced myself that it would make sense soon enough if I just kept watching a bit more. But it never did, because it wasn't ever explained. Most times, they just moved on to the next topic. The reason for this is, unless you understand how something like a Python variable actually works, you'll never really understand the reason as to why you need to type it in that way. It's only once you understand how something works that you will truly be able to create it from scratch and apply it. So why are so many courses failing to do this? Well, it really comes down to the instructors. While most instructors are great coders that can create some amazing stuff, they aren't necessarily great teachers. The reality is that when they create a variable, they understand why they are doing it and exactly how it works. But when teaching it to you, they often forget that you completely lack this knowledge. A dissociation between what they think you know and what you actually know, as they have forgotten how it is to be a complete novice and not know anything. This is the key to being a great instructor, always putting yourself back in your students' shoes and one I always try to follow. Following my light bulb moment, I decided to create this Python course that fixes the frustration and problems I struggled through for months. I wanted to help others enjoy code instead of fearing it, while at the same time actually understanding it within days, if not hours, instead of weeks and months. And that's how Python Kitchen was born. A complete, easy-to-follow recipe for learning Python in a brand new way. While it is certainly designed with absolute beginners in mind, it's also a learning experience that uses these two fundamental learning techniques to their fullest. This is the reason that I chose the name Python Kitchen to begin with, as I wanted to associate code to what you do every day in your kitchen, something we are all familiar with. This makes complex coding concepts easier to grasp. Just like in a real kitchen, where you learn to cook by doing, Python Kitchen uses a hands-on approach to learning. But it doesn't stop there. The Python Kitchen course also incorporates reinforcement learning techniques to help you retain and apply the information you learn. Instead of just memorizing lines of code, you'll learn how they work and why they're used, assisted with photos, tables, and diagrams, allowing you to retain this information quickly and also permanently. This reinforcement of information ensures you understand and remember what you've learned, instead of just parroting back the code. This allows you to apply your knowledge and easily create your own code for the rest of your life without crutches. This course truly takes you beyond the code into the why, how, as well as the logic and reasoning behind it. It's the recipe I wish I had when I started my coding journey. I've been where you are, and I understand the struggles. I designed this course to be the picture on the jigsaw box that I wish I had. Clear, easy to follow, and with all the pieces fitting neatly together. So don't miss out on this opportunity to start learning Python in a way that's engaging, intuitive, and dare I say, fun. Welcome to Python Kitchen. Let's get cooking. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, I sincerely hope that you enjoyed the content and have learned something new. If so, please leave a like and subscribe if you have, as well as to get notified of any future videos. Oh, and make sure to check out this video as well. You can also subscribe over here. And this one is pretty cool too.